Well, hey, everybody, I want to thank you so much for joining us for our Voices series in 2021. I don't know about you, but I've had so many different voices in my life over the years, from my parents to coaches to teachers to pastors to friends and even enemies, and those voices have stayed with me. In fact, I can be in situations and I can still hear those voices asking me questions. I can still hear my seventh grade teacher, Miss Beck, kind of pushing me and challenging me to be better than I currently am. She had such a huge influence in my life. I can still hear my college pastor talking to me about my relationship with Lisa and encouraging me in my marriage and my relationships like that. I believe that the voices that we allow into our lives are so incredibly important. And more than anything, the loudest voice should be our voice and our relationship with God, the voice of God speaking into us. And I wanted to start this series out by sharing with you one of the most providential conversations I had with God that really was a quick conversation that led to great frustration later on. When I was younger, when I was about 23, Lisa and I were newly married, so that was great. We had bought a brand new house with a few acres of land. We had a huge pool in the back. We had everything. We were just no kids and a good amount of money and great jobs. I had a wonderful job working for a software company. They let me do whatever I want for the most part, as long as I got my work done. I was volunteering in the church. I had a great relationship, lived close to my family that was really important to me. And my walk with God was incredible. In fact, I look back on that season and there wasn't a lot wrong. I even remember walking out on my deck one night thinking, I've arrived. I've got it. I have everything that my parents worked so hard for at like 23. It was an incredible feeling. And then I got a phone call. I got a phone call from a friend of mine who was a pastor in Michigan. And he said, hey, Nick, there's a church up here. They're looking for a youth pastor. Do you have any interest? And at that time, I was volunteering as a youth pastor in a church. I had kind of had a season of my life where God kind of told me I was supposed to go into ministry, but I felt like I was volunteering. And so, I don't need to get paid for this. I had a great job. And so I kind of felt like I probably should, but I told the guy, I said, no, man, I'm good. My life is great. I don't want to do anything else. Man, no, I've got it made. This is awesome. And I said no. And I moved on. And over the next several weeks, I felt like God was convicting me, going, Nick, I just want you to apply. And I kept arguing with God, going, no, I'm not gonna do that. Why would I do that? I'm not gonna take the job. I'm not gonna move my family to Michigan. I mean, that's crazy. I don't really know anybody in Michigan. My family's here, my job's here, my church is here, my people are here. And so no, and over a series of several weeks, I started to lose joy in everything that I found joy in. In fact, the job that I thought was so incredible, and I still to this day, I love that job, I became miserable in that job. The church became a frustration. And it culminated in a moment where I knew what I was supposed to do, but I didn't want to do it. And I was fighting God, and I was driving to this job that I loved and hated at the same time. That I knew was an incredible job for most people, but it was not the right job for me. And therefore, the joy that I found in it, the peace that I found in it, the happiness I found in it, it was gone. And I'm frustrated driving into work to a job that I should have joy, I should have peace, that I don't, all because I knew I wasn't doing what God wanted me to do. And so it was actually that car ride that really changed the trajectory of my life. I pulled over on the side of the road. Everybody else is passing me, going to their jobs. I just prayed. I said, God, what do you want me to do? And I felt like God said, Nick, you know what you're supposed to do. I just want you to apply for that job. And just in a brokenness that I rarely experience in my life, I just told God, I'll do whatever you want me to do. If you want me to apply for that job, I'll apply for that job. And we did. We applied for that job because it was a Lisa and I thing. It wasn't just a me thing. I was married at the time. We applied for the job. We got it almost instantly. Moved our family up there. And the reason I sit here in this couch, the reason I get to lead RiverLake Church, is because I was willing to walk away from everything that I held dearly because of the voice of God. And I'll tell you right now, that Michigan season in our life and our marriage was hard. But both Lisa and I were so grateful. In fact, the very thing that I dreaded, being removed away from my family, being removed away from my comfort zone, that's the thing that God used to galvanize our marriage in such a profound way. That's the thing that God used to galvanize my relationship with him as a pastor and a leader. And I couldn't see it at the time. All I could do is just trust God's voice. And so as we start this journey together in voices, I want to encourage you, be open to the voice of God. He may ask you to do something simple. He may ask you to do something big. He may ask you to do something that you've been waiting for him to ask you to do, or he may ask you to do something that you, like me, are going, no way. My hope is, my prayer is that you would be open and that you would be obedient, that you would trust him. As someone who's on the other side of a lot of yeses and unfortunately several no's, I can tell you every time I've said yes to God, it's been a blessing on the other end. And every time I've said no, it's either led to frustration or a result that I did not want. So as we start this season, this series, I want to encourage you, check in with us every single day. Watch and hear other people's stories of God speaking to them, of God just using his voice in their life to move them, to challenge them, to encourage them, and to help them let go of their past and step into a brighter future. I trust as we open our minds and our hearts to hearing the voice of God, God starts to do something incredible in and through us. And that's my prayer for you. So make a commitment. Join us every single day for the next few weeks as we try to hear the voice of God.